Obviously, your boy Cade Cunningham, and the Pistons, well, Pistons fans in general, obviously all had to take a deep breath because Cade Cunningham currently can't. Um, Obviously, the news we were off for a bit, but we did have news of his collapsed lung, and the entire city of Detroit, essentially, no pun intended, holding their breath. But despite losing Cade Cunningham, you guys have extended your winning streak to 4 games, and low key seems like you guys solidified, at least for now, hold on to the number one seed. I ain't gonna lie, I thought you guys was gonna kind of crumble, but obviously the wins are wins, right? Because we were talking about that a couple weeks ago, but y'all beat the Washington Wizards twice. You beat the Warriors. I think the most encouraging one was the win against the Lakers. So I got to give y'all props to that, man. But we didn't really get to talk about the Cade Cunningham situation. The only person that's kind of had that collapsed lung in recent memory is probably CJ McCollum on two separate occasions a couple of years back. But what are your thoughts on that situation and your state of mind with the Detroit Pistons?
I mean, that shit sucks. That was like the most devastating. I have a couple of group chats with my friends back home, and it was just crazy. It's one of those, you feel like you can't have anything nice. But I do think that we're gonna hold on to the one seed, just looking at how many games are remaining. And I don't think that Boston is gonna be able. I don't think that we're gonna play poorly enough because I think we're like 5 games up on them right now. And so I just don't think, yeah, we're 5 games ahead of them right now.
Yep.
So I don't think we're going to be ass, the rest of the way. And we have, this is what people forget, is earlier in the season when we were really establishing ourselves as the best team in the East and winning a lot of games, Cade missed a decent amount of time.
I think y'all like
The
8-2
whole
without him or some shit.
Yeah, and the guy who just dropped 30 on the Lakers, Dennis Jenkins, was a big part of that. And it's so weird. He's showing to be one of those guys like when he doesn't get a good amount of PT, he's been literally awful, like really, really bad. But earlier in the season, he won Player of the Week, I'm pretty sure, during that stretch when Cade was out. So we know that he can step up to the occasion if we need him to really fill in and just drop 30 against them. And he had like 22 a couple of nights ago, and he's been playing pretty well. So I'm not despondent about our chances of maintaining that one seed and kind of finishing out the season at a decent pace. But it's more so just like, what does this mean for us in the playoffs? And that's kind of what has me scared. Like they're saying that he might be able to come back for round one. But then also it's like, is he going to be in what type of shape and how is it going to look? So I will say, like, we've definitely talked earlier that they probably weren't going to be able to win the ship this year anyway with the lack of roster moves. And it seems like they're kind of treating this year the same way that OKC did the year before they won the championship of like, we have this nice young core. We're just going to play this out. We're going to have money this summer. We're going to do all that stuff. And then that's when OKC went and got Hartenstein and went and got Caruso and then ended up winning the ship. So it kind of felt like this year might not have led to anything anyway. So maybe, we can just take all this momentum and hopefully make some good moves in the offseason to come back next year and be a lot stronger. But it sucks. I at least want to be able to see peak Cade playing in the playoffs. It's a fun experience. We took the Knicks to 7 games last year. Everyone was like, oh, wow, he can really hoop. And I think the thing that sucks the most for me is just like he's probably going to miss out on these all NBA teams, which is just it's just really bad. And I think it's a really bad look for the league. To the point where I saw literally the NBA Players Association came out today and was like, it would be crazy that if Cade Cunningham weren't going to make an All NBA team, they're like Adam Silver basically needs to make some type of exception, which I don't think is going to happen. But I do think that there will be a lot of pushback on that this offseason, and I hope that it does get removed because it's funny. Everyone on the internet, has opinions, and I've seen a lot of people their stance on because this is, star players have been getting injured a lot this year, and not like devastating injuries, but injuries that keep you out for 10 games, and then now all of a sudden you're in danger of not meeting the criteria. So it's a lot of the rhetoric, they've been talking about this year, and almost every time without fail, I see someone under there. It's like, well, I don't think that's so crazy. Like if you only show up for 70% of your job, you're not going to get your full pay or like other comparing it to that. And I'm like, yo, if I get injured on the job, they have to pay me in real life. You know, like if I get injured on the job, I'm not worried about missing out on anything. So it is really crazy for them to in the NBA to be like, you got injured on the job and now you're not eligible for the shit at the end of the year because we said you need to make, like I feel like this rule wasn't for freak injuries. This rule was for again, like for guys like Joel Embiid, where you're just always injured, your body is fucked up, or like guys like Kawhi, where it's like you're taking a lot of time off and stuff like that. But to penalize someone for something like a dude landed on my lungs. What say did I have in that? Like this wasn't something that is yeah. So I think that it's the rule is just really crazy. I think we're at a point now where it's clear that it's penalizing people for like things that they have no control over. Which I'm not saying that Joel Embiid has any control over, but you at least know like his body is what it is versus other guys who it's like normally they're healthy, but it same like, when Russell Westbrook got his meniscus torn by Pat Bev. If and granted that was in the playoffs, but say that happened in the regular season, now I'm about to miss out on awards because a dude dove in my leg, So it's just like I feel like for reasons like that, it's just really stupid. It's gonna be really shitty because Cade was probably gonna make first team All NBA.
Absolutely, no question.
Yeah, so it's really shitty that he's gonna fall like 3 games. I think it's only like 3 or 4 games shy of it.
Oh, so if you miss 3 or 4 more, he's cooked. That sucks. Yeah, man, they definitely going. I feel like we've already kind of been talking about it, especially like during the heat of it when Joker was missing time. When Shea had like an oblique strain or something like that, missing time. Wemby actually missed a little bit of time. So we were always talking about it, how like, yeah, we might have one of the nastiest like top three, I mean, all NBA teams, you know what I'm saying? So I think K getting hurt is definitely going to make Adam Silver and that committee definitely shake some things up. I think they're just gonna go away from games in general and just be like, yo, like clearly niggas want to play. Obviously, you got people who are more susceptible to get hurt than others, but no one who really truly loves basketball is trying to take any time off. Like that's just the competitive spirit you've had since you was a kid. So go ahead and use the eye test and see actually what these injuries were, and then let's just make the vote based on that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I don't think they're going to make an exception for him, which kind of sucks, but this will definitely be a talking point, which changes the trajectory of how awards are going to be handled moving forward as well. And then my last thing I kind of want to ask you, let's play devil's advocate. Let's say he kind of arrives a little late in the first round, and the way the seasons are set right now, you guys will be scheduled to play the Orlando Magic. Do you think you guys have a chance to compete against the Orlando Magic and beat them without him, or if he comes late?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how late he comes. If he misses like a
What if it's like,
game,
what if y'all down like, what if y'all like is 1-1? Like y'all get like the first home game and then
oh yeah,
or that
one
down
one
2-1 or some shit like that. You got confidence?
1-1 is 0-0, so 100%.
Mhm.
Um, Now if Cade misses the first 3 games
Yeah, what
of
if
the
it's like that? Y'all
series,
down, y'all get the first home game off of just being in the playoffs, hosting the playoff game. It's been years. Y'all win the first game and then lose the next two, and then he's available game 4. How you feel? I think y'all can come back, nigga. Fuck that.
against the Magic, I think we could, but again, that depends on what level of Cade we're getting. If
Yeah.
Cade is not Cade when he comes back, then we're down 1-3, and I'm not. After that, that's
Mhm.
just kind of a wrap.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I'm not. To me, this team doesn't have a lot that makes me feel like they would are going to do well in the playoffs without Cade.
Yeah,
There's of
let's hear
course
it.
always, we've seen it with the like what was it, the We Believe Warriors, and there's instances over the years. I think it was also like not David Robinson, Patrick Ewing for the Knicks. He got injured and his team still made it to the finals. So like there's these instances throughout NBA history. I just don't think this team is that. So we need Cade to win a series. That's just point blank, period.
Yeah, he's your Bron. He's your Bron.